And it happened again. Forgot to delete the last video off the phone. And my phone filled up. 40 minutes is approximately I get to. Maybe it's just time to tell me I should wrap these things up after 5. Yeah, so this is when I'm talking about Legos, I'm talking about the Lego company. I'm talking about the parts they produce, every piece that, and if I'm talking about the third party stuff like my Rob Hendricks life lights, then I say I don't call them Legos. They're not Legos. They're not Lego. They're not Lego. I usually say Lego, not Legos. But these are my Lego. Every piece in here. That I say Lego, everything I say is Lego's Lego. And everything that's not Lego is not Lego. Lego bricks. So that's good enough for me. That is honestly God good enough for me. And if it's not good enough for you, then be somewhere else, because I will support you in the way you want to do it, but I will not change my ways for that reason. I've evolved. I like to think I've evolved. I've changed my mind about how I talk about things and how I talk about whatever over the years. My parlance has changed over the years. My word choices have changed over the years. I have changed my way of talking about things over the years because I say that's a better way of talking about it. And I've done that purposely, consciously. And now I speak differently about certain things. But since I was my earliest age, it's my Lego, and that's what I'm going to say. And sometimes I'll say Lego bricks. Depends if I'm particularly jaunty with it, as I said. But overall, that means zero to me at all. I mean, I love this. I've read it. There's a lot of things I do appreciate about this, especially on the written stuff. 100%, I'm on board with it. I really am. But no, you're not telling me. And again, even if right now the Lego company approaches all the countries in the world and changes the law where we have to say Lego bricks, I ain't doing it. Like it's a habit now. It's far too far gone as a habit. It may change. I might start actually 100% adhering to Lego bricks because I wake up tomorrow morning and say, maybe I'll do that because of whatever X reason. I can't see why I would, because again, I'm not looking to get hired by the company. I like to, again, think I'm a value-added service, but I have no desire, period, to be an official representative of the company. I don't. I want to support them as I am supporting them. But then if I'm being an official representative, that means I'm hired by them, and I have to change my ways of doing things to accommodate them. And that's no longer a hobby. And this is my hobby. This is where I have my fun. This is where I have a really good time building what I want, doing what I want, making these videos as I want, and coming and going as I please. I don't have to do every show. We got a whole bunch of shows coming up this year already listed. A whole bunch of shows for Torolog and other shows that I'm going to try to do that have nothing to do with Torolog. Things I want to do. But, you know, and some people reach out to me. Hey, Dave, we're doing this show and we loved your layout. Can you bring it? Because it's, you know, an 8 boxes in the garage. How hard is that for me to set up? And, you know, I love setting it up. And I love liaising with the audience. I love liaising with the public. And I love being an enthusiastic hobbyist of this hobby, of AFOL, adult fan of Lego. I love being that guy. And I like to believe, and I've been told this, I like to believe I am a value-added service to the Lego company, even though that is an unintended consequence. People have come up to me and said, "Oh, you know, Legos, that's great." And oh, absolutely. And then you go to Sherway, you go to whatever, you can buy new Legos that's there. I'm not getting any kickback for any of this, and I don't want that. I don't want to be an influencer where the company sends me a check for stuff that I'm doing. Not that they ever should, but I don't want any of that. I want this to be our place. And if the Lego company wants to come along, and I've said this before, they want to come along and appreciate what we're doing here, 100%, I'd love to have you. But if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. I will not work at getting people to stay if they don't want to stay. I said this about my personal life. I said this about some of my ex-girlfriends. If you don't want to be with me, then let me know. It's going to be sad and I'm going to cry. There's going to be some tears. But My life will go on and your life will go on. I want people to be here because they want to be here, not because they're paid to be here, not because I'm paying them to be here, not because they think they're going to get something monetary out of it, or think I'm getting monetary. I'm not getting any monetary value from this whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I said this before, back before everything got, influencers, whatever, when I first opened my YouTube channel, my number one viewed video has 225,000 views on it, something like that. And it's Big Blue, and it's like one of my earliest videos on this channel. And that's when YouTube was tiny and there was nothing else to see. So people saw my video. And I was getting so many hits that Google AdSense, because I was using Google AdSense at the time on my blog. I had a blog going on my own personal webpage. I was getting a check from Google once every 6 months for $50. Woohoo, $50 every 6 months. Yeah, I'm not retiring on that. But after AdSense was discontinued and people went to like YouTube, you have the 100,000 subscribers and have this metrics and blah, blah, in order for them to start paying you. I'm never going to get there. And I don't want to be there. I like answering every one of your emails, and every one of your responses. I love doing that. But if I have 100,000 viewers, I won't be able to do that. I like communities. And for me, communities, invariably for them to be conducive to a great conversation have to be small. They say the smallest unit in the forces was 4 people, and there's a little unit, and then they get attached to other units, and they get attached to other units. It gets bigger and bigger. For me, the number of subscribers I have is fantastic. The number of responses I have to my videos is fantastic because it's not a burden for me to, because I want to include you guys, and I want to be able to respond. Well, that's just the thing. I want to be able to respond to all of you, and I want you to be comfortable talking to me should you choose to, and I want you to be, hey, and Dave's going to respond in a timely fashion. If I have 100 million or 100,000 subscribers, I ain't doing that. I follow a lot of YouTube channels, a lot scientific based and stuff, that I go into the comment section. They release a video on a Friday afternoon, say, and I get a notice on my YouTube feed. Simon Dan released a video. I love Simon Dan. And all of a sudden, and I get the email that he's released it, and I'm not sure the time difference between releasing it and when he actually released it, because I'll get there to watch it. It's 5 minute, 10 minute, 20 minute video, and there's already 500 comments, and the thing hasn't been up there for an hour. There's already 500. Now, as me, I want to respond to my comments. That's the way I've always been. Even when I had my blog way back in the day, I wanted to respond to comments. Even if it's a brand new person, I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah. That's what I want to do. And that's why I like this small community. And therefore, as you can see, I put zero effort, 100% zero effort, 100% zero effort like that, into trying to get my subscription base up. I put no effort into it, zero effort. It means nothing to me. If you want to join, join. Absolutely. If you want to leave a response, leave a response. If you don't want to leave a response, don't leave a response. There is no expectation from me on you, the people who watch this video. I'm going to be making this video if 2 people watch it, and I'm going to be making this video if 2,000 people watch it. But if 2,000 people respond to this video or other videos of mine, I won't have the time of day to respond to all of you. And that's going to make me feel, because what did I miss? Maybe my good friend Jeffy said something really, really important somewhere in the comments way down, and I'm scrolling through all the comments and blah, blah. Don't want it. I don't want that overhead. I'm not that person that wants that kind of overhead. I want to be, this is a hobby, and it's a nice hobby, and this is part of my nice hobby where I get to talk about this stuff. So this is yet another tangent on the previous tangent. And I think I need a haircut again. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up because you already got 40 minutes from the last one, and then 9 minutes because the SD card filled up, or the camera filled up. The cell phone, wow, I know how to speak right now. The iPhone filled up, 64 gig. Maybe the next one I'll get a bigger one. This is what, and I think I've actually have pictures of every page in here on my Flickr channel. Shh, don't tell Lego Company. I took pictures of all this, and I think they're on my Flickr channel, just in case you want to read it. They weren't selling this, by the way, so it's not like I'm losing them money. They sent this to me when they sent me to the legal department. I will also say this. They also sent me, I've talked about this numerous times. Oh, it's not here right now. I don't know where it is. It is one of my favorite prized possessions that I ever got for free from this company. And I must have hit it somewhere. Yeah, I don't see it off the top of my head. But it is the world of Lego toys. And every once in a while, I will just grab that book and I'll go sit on the living room couch and just look through it. Because it is a time capsule from 1987, I think that was published. It's 1986, maybe before. It is a time capsule of Lego Company from the beginning until that date. Before it went massive. Because again, not to go off on these tangents really quick. And again, I'm not a historian guy. So Denmark, 1930s, 1940s, wooden toys, furniture, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The fire took down the wood shop. They already had the injection molding machine and they went full-on plastic, blah, blah, blah. And it covers some of this stuff back in the book. And if you watch that video, that was CGI video, is fantastic. One of my favorite things on the internet. And then they Lego 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it was a company that was smaller than it is today. Because like, even though, and again, I was in 1984, 85, I was already approaching my 20-year mark. And I was the only person my age that I knew of that was playing with Lego. There was no other in my world AFOL. Of course, that wasn't even a term I knew back then, but I was the only adult or close to adult playing with Lego. Even when I was an adult in my 20s and 30s, I was the only person that still playing with Lego. And it wasn't until the internet when I found out that, oh my goodness, there's other people my age and some even older that are playing with Lego still. It was like, blown my mind, like Lego Lugnet and everything blew my mind when I bought the RCX, blah, blah. And that's also with that building of communities of adults such as myself and all my friends who play with Lego, the explosion of how popular the Lego company became got massively huge. Now I'm not saying there's a causation between the online community of fans on Lugnet and pre-Lugnet and the RTL days, Rec Toys, Lego. I'm not saying that there's a causation between RTL and Lugnet back in the late 90s and the early 2000s and the company going up. There was a lot of nuanced reasons why the Lego company went from 1998 being in the red to in the 2000s getting to the point where they beat Mattel as the #1 toy manufacturer in the world. And that was like 10, 15 years. I do know that in the 90s, I knew in the 90s that the Lego company was hemorrhaging. Like and for me, I'm not saying this was 100%, but the main impetus in the 90s was they were competing. They were online. They were competing against Beyblades and Pokemons and video games and literally everything else that was distracting the kids from playing with Lego. And they didn't have anything in the 90s worth buying for the kids to play with Lego. Straight up. And again, you can say every so often, oh, that was such a great set. But really, from the 70s and 80s and 90s, the comparison of great sets in the mid-90s, very, very low. Again, my opinion and other people's opinion. Lego could not produce a fantastic set in the 90s if their life depended on it. Because they were just too, I don't know if they were too ensconced in their way of doing business. But even in the 2000s when we were on Lugnet, I remember the thread where Lego said they were reducing the number of parts that they had because they couldn't handle the cost of overhead of having thousands of different parts per year. And so they were reducing the number of parts, reducing the number of molds, reducing the number of the cost, being cost effective, and because they had to. But because of the changes they made within a few years, boom, they got to be the biggest company in the world. And that's their online presence and everything else. And they started making fantastic sets again. And again, I will always say this, and I've heard this by experts, Bionicle and Star Wars. Straight up. Bionicle because Pokemon, because of Beyblades, because of the collectibles, because of the whatever. And kids in that generation were into that. They were just buying all these packages of hockey cards disguised as Pokemon because that's what they were doing. And we got boxes, but this is what, because my generation, we collected hockey cards or baseball cards and then you had to keep on buying until you got the Wayne Gretzky or the, whoever. And that's why OPG and all those other card companies made money because, there's 158 cards in this set. I might have 600 cards now for that year, but I don't have the one, so I have to keep on buying. Or then you start trading with Joe down the street with his hockey card collection to get the Ricky Vive hockey card, right? And so kids love that. Oh no, I got low power mode. Kids love that, right? That's what they'd love to do. And so when Bionicle came out, and they became collectibles basically, and then the Bionicles were released where you would buy a set that had one specific part that had a bunch of variations, like the brain and that one thing. And again, I wasn't a Bionicle guy, but you wouldn't, or the mask, that's the whole point of Bionicle, with the mask, and you wouldn't get the coveted mask, you'd get a mask, and there was like 20 or 30 or I don't know how many variations of the mask. And so you would trade with your friends. And that was exciting to the kids because that's what they were used to. That goes right back to the hockey cards, by the way. Just in case you thought your generation discovered that in Pokemon and stuff. No. And prior to my generation, they were still doing that with hockey cards and baseball cards. But anyway, so and so literally, they couldn't keep enough Bionicle on the shelf back in the late 90s, 1999, I think, 2000. They couldn't keep enough out there. And again, it was also cheaper because Bionicles, the original ones, were pretty easy. There was like 7 or 8 parts. Maybe the bigger ones had 10 or 12 or 15 parts. They weren't Lego sets of 150 parts. And then you can move them, you can pose them. You can have these almost like wrestlers, right? I don't think I have a charger, so this might die at any point. I do have a charger. What's this? It's not the right charger. So I'm gonna wrap. I think I got 10 minutes. So that saved them because Bionicle was huge. And again, the flip side, again, not to go off in this tangent, my biggest regret, and it's not my personal biggest regret, but my biggest regret is the old-timey fans, the gatekeepers at the time, especially on Lugnet, hated Bionicle overall. There were some of us who liked it, but there was a lot of gatekeepers who said, that's not real Lego. And so Bionicle went off on their own and they made BZ Power. I'm not sure if it still exists today, but they were shunned. They were shunned from Lugnet. And that was a bad move on the fans because it is Lego. I don't care what they weren't bricks, but they were shunned. And it was a malicious overall, a lot of malicious shunning. And so the kids, because they're mostly kids, the Bionicle was mostly kids at the time in Lugnet back in the early 2000s. And they were not welcome. They were not welcome on Lugnet. That's how they felt. It doesn't matter if people like, hey, that's awesome. That's one person in the voice of thousands of people saying, that's not real Lego. I don't want to see it in my feed. I was there. People can say, oh, that's not what really happened. It was what happened. I was there. Anyway, and so the BZ Power had to start and also, straight up, the Lugnet user interface was a little dated by then, and BZ Power was built on like open systems, whatever you want to call it, open BBS, whatever, I can't remember, and it was easy for the kids to maintain. There you go. And then that splintered off, and then Eurobrick splintered off, and then whoever splintered off, and then all of a sudden Lugnet went from the single focal point of all things Lego. Like literally every single thing was covered in Lugnet, and you could spend hours just reading through the threads that were posted every minute. Okay. And so, but 2010 started like really going down fast. I think it was even before 2010 when Lugnet started, like, and again, user interface, old architecture, loved it. Like, again, if you look at it, Lugnet was a brilliant piece of software coding, like one of the most brilliant pieces. It's my favorite thing, threading of threads in Lugnet. I've never seen anywhere else besides Bricklink. But even Bricklink doesn't do it the way Lugnet did it. But yeah, so the groups fractured away and went off on their own. And so Lugnet is a ghost town, and the only person that posts to Lugnet right now is some guy talking about his dinners all the time. So that guy. But so BZ Power, so Bionicle saved the company straight up. It did, plus the IP of Star Wars, their first true IP, really. And people love Star Wars. straight up. Not my favorite thing. Star Trek's my favorite thing, but I get it. Star Wars. Even when I was a kid, when 1977 when Star Wars showed up, the amount of toys, Kenner toys, I think it was Kenner, the figs, the Millennium Falcons, the X-wings, the Y-wings, the Cloud City cars, like the amount of play sets that they used to release, and just couldn't keep them on the shelf long enough back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And so when Lego started releasing Star Wars, massive hit for the fans who love Star Wars and Lego, and even kids who don't love Lego, who love Star Wars, would love Star Wars sets. I have friends whose kids never play with Lego in their lives, but they get a Star Wars set because they love Star Wars, and now they want all the Star Wars sets, right? It is massively huge hit. For me, I couldn't care because I'd rather have a Star Trek set, but they're not going to do that. But I've owned Star Wars sets. I don't know how many Darth Vaders in this collection. I don't too many of them. But I certainly don't go out of my way to buy them. And but I know, and I 100% appreciate Star Wars and my uncle back in the late 90s, early 2000s saved the company. And it's just the way it is. You know, and so they went from in the red in the 90s, again, what I was told, in the red in the 90s to being the #1 company within 10, 15 years. They did it right. And people can rally against, oh, they didn't do this and they didn't do that. And then the other thing, I get it. There are certain things that I'd rather have classic space themes like UFO reissued and insectoids reissued and all that stuff. I'd rather see that. But if they're making their bread and butter on Star Wars sets to keep them going, make the Star Wars sets, because in the end, as a fan who builds, I would use all the pieces that come in Star Wars. I can use all the pieces that come in Friends. I can use all the pieces. And again, you go to a show, you go to any show, and I see pictures from all the rest of the shows, and I've been to a bunch of shows. You go to any show, and somebody will take that Friends pieces, and the Star Wars pieces, and the Bionicle pieces, and the Hero Factory pieces, and what they always do with Lego since way back when we were kids, and even before that, they will take all these pieces, and they will make something that is completely wow, inspiringly awesome every single time. I remember when the big green recycled truck piece was released, and people go, oh, that's a burp, or that big rock piece, that's a whatever, it's a piece that you can't use for anything else. And all of a sudden somebody comes up with something, MPU, nice parts usage. The big dump truck that had that one big huge bucket in the back, somebody built into a spaceship, 2 of them into a spaceship, and it looked fantastic. They say, oh, this can only, the one part use, this can only be used for the garbage can. It can only be used for this one piece. Lego is supposed to have, you know, you buy a piece and you can use it like this wheel. It's a wheel, but no, they use it for rocket engines and they use it for other things. But that's a garbage can. That can only be a garbage can if somebody shows them wrong. Every single time. There's another thing, regeneration. This piece can only be used for this one thing. Why did Lego put out this piece? It can only be used for X. It's the X piece. It's the bigger bucket. It's the whatever bucket. It's the whatever it is. It's the one part only piece. So it can only be used for one thing. And then somebody comes along and builds something just awe-inspiringly awesome out of it. And that's why you have those new competitions where you have the seed part. They say, here's the seed part, and it's like, how am I going to build something out of that? Because it's a one-part thing. It's only used for that. And then you look at the numerous wonderful builds that some wonderful Lego person builds, and they're just fantastic. This is one of my most inspiring groups I've ever been in, and I've been in some really good groups over the years, photography groups and whatever groups, and Boy Scouts for many times, artist stuff. Like the Lego people never cease across the board. The Lego fans around the world never cease to absolutely inspire me, absolutely show me that there's no end of talent at all in this hobby. Anyway, so I'm gonna wrap that up because now I'm getting really sentimental and talking about how wonderful this company is. So there you go. That's it. That's all. Sorry for the rant, but I had to rant because I just can't stand gatekeepers. I am an elder-ish, if you want to call it that, in this community, and I say Lego, and I say Legos sometimes, and sometimes I say Lego bricks, but it's up to me when I say that and how I say it, and to nobody else. So say it how you want to say it. If you want to adhere to this, I will 100% support you until the end of time for you to say it the way you want to say it. As for me, in my house, I'll just do whatever I want. So, long and prosper, everybody. Everybody stay safe out there. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.